Hi, my name is Justin Bornais, and today I'm going to go over how I'm able to do this dual camera setup for teaching for free, meaning no additional hardware other than the cameras and microphone and computer, and the software is completely free. So, let's say that you're a brand new teacher and you want to offer your students the best possible experience you can while online. Maybe you're online due to health concerns, or maybe due to your student lives far away, and maybe you don't have the budget to spend on a lot of expensive gear and a lot of high quality gear in store. Well, this video may help you out because everything other than the gear, the cameras that you get and the microphone that you get, everything else, the software is free, and you don't need to plug in any other hardware thing in order to get this working. So I use OBS and NDI Tools to get this setup working. OBS is a software usually used by some YouTubers and some streamers and people like that, but OBS can also be used here. And what's great about it, and OBS is what I use for organizing the cameras and stuff. And what's great about it is it's actually very customizable. So watch what I can do. So let's say I'm teaching and I want to show my students the sheet music, because I can keep saying, go to measure 17. And then I don't know where measure 17 is. I can't find it. Maybe you have a young student. Well, just one button and there you go. Now you're sharing the sheet music, and you can zoom in and do whatever you want with it. It's really amazing. And then let's say that you want to have a close-up view of your hands and of the keys aside from these two cameras. So that way, if you're explaining some technique that you're doing with your hands, then they can see it a little bit more clearly. Again, with one button, now you have a close-up view of the keys. So if I'm going over slurs or something, or if I'm going over scales, then I have a close-up view of my hands, which is really amazing. And then, of course, for neutral sake, I'm going to switch back to my logo. And all of this you can do pretty easily. It might be a little intimidating at first, but the setup, once you get used to OBS a little bit, the setup is pretty easy and cheap. The only downside to the setup is if you have a weak computer. If you have an old computer that might be struggling to hang on a little bit, then your experience with this might suffer, because OBS can use a considerable amount of your CPU. I'll go over how to minimize the CPU usage and other usage, but if you try this and it doesn't work out for you, then that might be a sign that you might need a better computer. But usually any medium quality laptop or computer you get, Windows laptop you get, should work just fine. So first I'll just skim over the hardware pretty quickly, and then I'll go over the software. Okay, so here's my setup. So of course you need a keyboard or a piano of some kind in order for this to work. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then over here I have a camera, I have a webcam. You can use a camcorder or even a DSLR that I recommend that can plug into USB to your computer, because if you have a camera that only plugs in through HDMI, then that can start getting expensive, because you can't just plug an HDMI cable from the camera into your computer, because your computer HDMI port is an output. So that's for extra monitors and stuff like that. That's not an input for a camera. So you'd have to buy a card that converts from HDMI to USB, and those can be expensive. Those can be anywhere from, the cheapest I've seen is like $40, $50, and those are low quality. And usually they can go for higher than that. So I recommend a USB webcam or a camcorder that can plug in through USB, or even you can use your phone. Especially if you have an Android phone, you can actually use an app called Droid Cam. It's free, or you can get the paid for version. That's also an option. Get a tripod. Don't try and do those weird setups where you stack a bunch of textbooks and stuff, because you're probably going to be customizing this a lot. It's just better to get a tripod. Any good tripod that has the 3 legs will work. It should have 3 legs and the neck right there. And that should be good right there. Over here I have my microphone. And if you're teaching, if you're a teacher and if you're an intermediate or advanced student, it's pretty much, I would say it's a requirement to get an external mic of some sort, because otherwise the audio quality may be lacking. So I personally recommend the Blue Yeti because it's not too expensive, but it's also pretty high quality. It's very high quality, especially for the price that you're paying for. It's USB, it's easy to use, and it's very customizable too. So you can use it for a lot of great things. And then of course right here, I just have a boom mic arm like this, or not boom mic arm, just a mic arm. And right over here, I just have a shock mount. So that way, if the mic jiggles up and down, maybe it shakes like this, I don't know, then it won't cause any extra noise and stuff in the microphone. So that I also recommend. You can get these for like $30, $40. Arms, I actually got this for like 20, 25 bucks Canadian, which is pretty good. Arms can get up to like $40. And then of course we got the top view camera. And this is just an old mic stand I had, my family had for decades now. And then up here, I also have a USB webcam. I would not spend a lot of money on your top view camera, because your top view camera doesn't have to be very high quality at all. Any $30, $40 webcam will do just fine, because all you're doing is you're capturing the top of the keys. Over here I have a little piece that came with a microphone that I bought a while ago. I don't use it anymore, but it came with this little piece. It just screws right into the stand. And then this piece right here, that was a piece to an old one of those desk tripods, and I just unscrewed the legs, and then I just duct taped it right to this piece. It's a pretty creative solution, but hey, it works. And then obviously comes with the thread, and then I just screw in the camera, and I'm good to go. Okay, now that you got your gear, now we're going to look at the software. This is the really good stuff. So first, we're going to get OBS Studio. This is what we're going to use for a camera setup. This is what it's going to look like. It may look intimidating at the beginning, but as we go through it, then you'll realize it's easier than it looks. So we're going to go to this website, obsproject.com, link in description. OBS Studio, we're going to click on Windows because I'm on Windows. Click on Windows. It should start downloading. Then I'm not going to download it again because I already have OBS. Then you go through the installation, and then there you go. You got OBS. Next, we have NDI Tools. There's a lot of different things that that NDI Tools does, which is really, really cool. But all we care about is one thing, and that's the quote-unquote webcam input. And what that does is it allows us to take our OBS setup and export it as a virtual webcam. That's going to be what allows us to use it on like Google Meet, on Skype, on all of that. So you go to this website, ndi.tv/tools. Again, link is in the description. We're just going to hit download over here. It's going to scroll us down to here, NDI Tools for Windows or Mac. Don't select this one. You just want to make sure that this is one of the options, NDI webcam input, or just webcam input or virtual input. That's what it's been called in the past. And then we're going to hit download. And when you hit download, you're going to get this prompt. Fill out your name, email, company is optional. You can leave that blank. Country and industry. You can select education or gaming or whatever you want. Submit, and then what they're going to do is they're going to send you an email with a link to download the tools. And the tools are about 1.5 gigabytes of storage. So make sure you got the storage you need in order to use it. And the last thing you want to install, this is really important that you install this after OBS as well, is this plugin that allows us to use NDI Tools in OBS. So the biggest thing is the NDI output. Transmit video and audio from OBS to NDI. That's what we want. Right over here in releases, we're just going to hit this or this. We can hit releases. You're going to have a bunch of installers right over here. And what you want to install, if you're on Mac, you're probably going to go with this. And if you're on Windows, you're going to want to go with this. So you go and hit that, and then it downloads, and then you can go through that installation. So that would be this. Yes, allow unknown publisher to make changes to your device. That's fine. Then we just go through full installation. Yep, that's fine. 7.2 megabytes of disk space. That's nothing. That's like a couple pictures. And then install. I already have that, so I don't need to do that. So I'm just going to exit out of that. Then you might need to do a restart. You might not have to, but just in case, you can restart your computer, and then you can open up OBS, and this is what it will probably look like. These things right here, scenes, this is like your setup that you're going to use. That, and when you saw me switching between the screen and the close-up camera, that's me switching between scenes. I was just selecting different scenes. Sources, this is where we're going to add our microphone and our cameras and logos and screen captures. As I said before, OBS, depending on your computer, if you think your computer is strong, you can skip this and then maybe do it later, but I'm just going to show this right now just in case you have a weak computer and you want to save storage. So we're going to go to File, Settings, and then I'm going to go to Video. Video output is currently active. That's because I'm recording with another instance of OBS. But basically, right over here, base canvas and output scaled resolution, we're going to set that. That should be set to whatever your resolution on your computer is right now. If it's 1920 by 1080, that's good. And if your computer is weaker, maybe set it to 1280 by 720. And the lowest I would go, this is only if you're desperate, is 480p. I wouldn't go any lower than that. I wouldn't go lower than 720, but this will save a considerable amount of CPU just in case your CPU is weak. Now we're going to add our stuff. So in sources, we're going to hit this plus, this add button. For cameras, they're called video capture devices. So I'm going to create a name. Let's call it side view. Be specific with your names just so you know what you're working with. And then when you hit enter, this is going to pop up. And then I'm just going to select my USB camera, which is this. Now, if your computer is weaker, you might want to turn the settings on this down. So we're going to go to resolution, FPS type, device default. We're going to set custom. So resolution, default is usually 1080p. Webcams are usually 1080p. I wouldn't buy a 720p webcam. Buy a 1080p one. So if this is too weak for you, if your computer's too weak for you, set it to 1280 by 720. Or you can set it to about 480 over here if you really want to. Is it this one? No, that's a different aspect. It would be this one, I believe. Yes. So this one. So either 848 by 480, 1280 by 720, 1920 by 1080, and then FPS. This is a big one. FPS. You can either match output FPS, highest FPS, meaning however high it can go. If you have a lower frame rate, you can set it to, if you have a low CPU, a weak CPU, you can set it to like 20. So that way your CPU has to do less frames per second. But for this, I'm just going to go with device default. And there we go. So there's my little camera. So I can just hit the this little corner over here and just shrink it just for now. Next, we're going to add our other camera. We're going to add our top view. Enter USB camera, and you're going to do the exact same thing. Okay, as you notice, this is upside down. We got to fix that. That's not that bad. So we can go to, where is it? Oh, it's transform. There it is. And we can say flip vertical, just like that. And there you go. And then I want to go from edge to edge. And actually, you notice that we have a fisheye. What this is right here, if you have a cheap webcam, usually the cheap ones you get for like 40 bucks, they're probably going to have this fisheye effect, which is like where the middle seems zoomed in and the edges seem zoomed out. Let me actually show you how I fix that. So, over here, you install OBS shader filter. You hit go to download. Over here, again, this is going to be linked in the description. Go to this shader filter. Go to download. It's going to download. I already have it downloaded. And what you're going to do. Now, again, this might seem a little bit awkward for you if you're not very tech savvy. But we're going to go through this. So, OBS Studio. We're going to take these two folders and we're going to copy them. Local disk. And then program files. Or program files times 86, depending on which one your OBS is installed in. I have OBS Studio right here. And then you can paste that right in here. And then I already have them pasted, so I don't need to do that. If you already have these folders in here, then what you can do is if we go back into here, you can go to Data, OBS Plugins, copy all of these, and then program. This is only if those folders, data and OBS plugins, were already there. We copy those folders, go into OBS plugin, or go into data, OBS plugins, and then paste them. I already have them in here, so I don't have to do that. And then again, with the other one, OBS plugins, over here, you can just copy those, put them in the corresponding OBS plugins 64-bit, OBS shader filter, put them in the corresponding folder, 32 bits, put them in the corresponding folder, just like we did before. You might have to restart OBS. Then I'm going to right click either on the camera here or down here. Go to filters, plus you should have something called user defined shader. If that's not there, then maybe something didn't install right. We can call this fisheye. Now, we're also going to need this. So this file is called fisheye.shader. You can, the link is in the description. You're just going to either hit Control A or just select all and copy. Go into Notepad, paste, and save. And then when we save it, we're going to go to our local disk, program files, OBS. This is how you find. We're going to go to data, OBS plugins, OBS shader filter, examples. And we're going to call it fisheye.shader. And then we save. I already have it in there, so we're good. So then when we're in here, load shader text from file, browse. We got it in OBS Studio, data, OBS plugins, OBS shader filter, examples. And then I have the fisheye.shader file right here. And as you see, when I load it, this happens. Now it's like super insane. That's because this power over here is set to 1.75. If we set it to like 10, then we get like, yeah, we get a mess. Basically, the higher the number, the stronger the fisheye effect is. If we set it to 0, then nothing's happened. It's the exact same. What if we do negative numbers? Then we get a negative fisheye. Now instead of the middle being, I guess, pushed out, now it's pushed in. So we're gonna find a number that works. So if I go 0.5, oh, that's too much. How about 4? 3, 2, 1. Okay, so 0.1, it's still fisheyeing a little bit. So I'm going to go 0.13. Well, a little bit more. 0.14. And then there you go. And now you fixed your fisheye. And what I'm going to do now, you can just adjust the OBS setting. So I'm going to put it about like that. And then this. Oh no. My side view is below my top view. That's okay. What I can do is I can just take my side view and drag it on top like this. And now it's on top. So then I can just drag like this. Now, of course, I have this extra space. So I'm going to put on my logo, which will be image. I can call it my logo and then enter, hit browse over here. And then I'm going to go to my pictures. And there it is. So I'm going to take it to this corner right here. And I'm going to shrink. I'm just adjusting right now. So right now, this is a little bit too big. If you want to crop, then filters, right click filters, and then crop / pad. Let's say top and bottom are a little bit too high, so I'll say 100. There we are. Then what I'll do, I'll move the background over here, and that should be good. This is a little bit over, so I can do that. And then, as you notice, there's a little bit of space in between, so I'm going to move this a little bit higher, like that. We're almost done. We need sound. We need a microphone. So over here, we're going to go to audio input capture. We can rename it mic. And over here, you plug in your Yeti. I have a bunch of different things, so I'll set it to Yeti. And then, as you notice down here, this pops up, and then I'm talking right now, and there is my microphone, and it's showing that I'm talking. Over here, these are just random. You don't have to touch them. There are ways to make the sound a little bit better if your microphone isn't the best, or if you get a cheaper microphone than this, you can right click, go to filters. If your microphone is too quiet, you can set gain. You can actually make it softer. So now my mic is extremely quiet. If I do this, then my mic is like spazzing out of control. So you can adjust this as you please. And then something else we might add. We might add a limiter. And a limiter is so that if I scream, it won't get too loud. So the threshold, -6.0, you're not going to want to go above. What I'm going to do is set it to about -6. That's actually really good. -6. You can set it a little bit lower if you'd like. That way, if I get super close to the mic and I start screaming, as you noticed, it didn't go above. Versus if I didn't have it, then I start peaking and then I blow my students' eardrums out. I don't think they'd like that at all. There you go. Now, if you want to do those multiple setups like I did, you're going to want to duplicate what's called your scenes. So over here, your scene, that was our layout. This whole thing is our scene. So if you don't have a scene, you hit add, and then you hit scene 2. You can hit OK, and then copy paste. Or what you can do is just go to here, duplicate. Call it scene 2. What I can call it, let's say this is the scene I want to share my sheet music for. Let's call it screen. So I copy it. Now everything is the exact same. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this logo. It's still over here, but I'm going to delete it over here. Then I'm going to go over here, plus, and then display capture right here. This is going to be your screen. And then capture method, you can leave this alone. And then I have multiple displays, so I'm going to go with this one. If this shows up as black, there's a fix for that. All you have to do is you can just right click on the background, go to display settings. Display settings over here. Scroll down to graphic settings. OBS Studio. Oh, that's because I already added it. what you're going to do if you don't have it added is you're going to go to Browse. And I already found it, but if you don't know where it is, you can go to Program Files. Like we did before with the shader. Program Files or Program Files times 86, OBS Studio, and then bin, 64-bit, and there's your application. So you would hit that, but I already have it, so I'm good. Then you go to Options, and I have a GPU in my computer, but usually what might happen if you have a laptop that might have Intel integrated graphics versus something else, you might want to hit power saving and then hit save. I have high performance, so I'm good. But you might want to hit power saving. That might work better for you. One might make it black. One might allow the screen to work. Then when you set this, OBS isn't going to change. You're going to want to restart OBS. Close the app and reopen it. Okay, now we have our screen. We can just put it over here and enlarge it. Now, of course, that cuts off the camera a little bit. So you can crop. Similarly before, you can actually hold Alt. I don't know why I did this before. You can hold Alt and crop like this. If you hold Alt and then drag, it crops. And then Alt and drag over here does the same for there. So let's say I want a little bit less of the left. I want to get rid of that. Let's say if I'm opening up a tab or something, I want to close that, and then I want to make a little bit less on the right. And that's good. Then I can enlarge. And there I go. And the last part was the close-up. So I'm going to hit duplicate over here, and then I'm going to call this close-up. Over here, I can just delete this now. Again, it's still over here. That's fine. Next, what I'll do, I'm literally just going to copy this and paste it. Control-C, Control-V, or just right-click, copy, right-click, paste. When you hit paste, paste reference. Now I have two cameras. Then what you can do, we want this side view, so I'm going to call this one, let's say side view 2. Oh, no, I can't do that because that's the same name. So I'm just going to have to leave them the same name. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to stretch this out like that. But then I'm going to put it like this. And what I have is this side view, the smaller one, is ahead of this side view. This allows it so that if this is above, then it's going to block like that. And then if it's behind the top view, then the top view is going to block it like that. That's why we want it right smack in the middle. And then just like that, all you have to do is just click between these scenes, and then you switch. And there you go. Now your OBS is set up for teaching. Now we're in the home stretch. We go to Tools up here. And this is because we installed the plugin NDI Output Settings. And it just showed up on one of my other windows. Check Main Output and hit OBS right there. There you go. Now type in your search bar Webcam Input. When you type this, hit enter. Then NDI Virtual Input. You can right click that and this should show up. If it doesn't, you might have to restart OBS. You might have to restart the virtual the webcam input. Just hit exit. Then whenever we go on to like Google Meet, and then bam. Well, of course, we'd go under settings, and for a microphone, we don't want to set it to any other microphone. We want to set it to line, NewTek, NDI audio. Video, our camera, NewTek, NDI video. And then you join your lesson, and there you go. I hope this video has helped. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.